What's up guys, it's Chase from Renderite, and in today's tutorial we're going to run through the Twinmotion 2024.1 preview. We're going to run through the notes, we're going to run through some videos, we're going to get up to date with this stuff, so let's go. So here we have the preview release notes. We're just going to run through these notes quickly. So it's Twinmotion 2024.1 preview. You can download and install the latest release from the Epic Games launcher on your computer. You can get started here by clicking that. Feel free to start a new discussion. So Twinmotion support community and customer support. So recommended configuration for Twinmotion 2024.1 preview. You can go ahead and click on the hardware and software specifications there. And this is what we're going through. So what's new? Unreal Engine 5.4 support. So Twinmotion has been upgraded to run off of Unreal Engine 5.4, enhancing the rendering capabilities of both Lumen and Path Tracer for superior visual quality. So that's a big up. So that will be awesome. So it's running the new Unreal Engine 5.4. So here are the spacing and area tools notes. We have introduced two new scattering tools that help you quickly place large amounts of assets along paths or within defined areas. With the spacing tool you can create paths, and with the area tool you define specific areas in the scene. Once your path or areas are defined, they're automatically populated with the assets of your choice. So yeah, both the spacing and area tools have settings to create organic or systematic placement. We've got a new one, render layers. So you can now assign layer ID information to Twinmotion assets and export them separately. These exported layers make it easier to select part of images during post-production, which we'll go over in this video. So below are the limitations. You can go through those and see that. I won't run over those, but yeah, you can view those to see the limitations. We've got the simplified material creation process, which we'll run over in this video. Ambient occlusion texture input. So they've added the ability to add an ambient occlusion texture input to your material. So it's only supported in standard and Lumen rendering modes. Next we have bloom improvements. A bloom and flares section has been added in the camera tab inside the ambience panel, which we'll run over in this video. Improved fabric material. So we have introduced a new approach for representing different types of fabrics using two methods, standard and thin fabrics. New foliage material. So a new foliage material has been added which makes imported vegetation geometry reactive to the Twinmotion seasons. So in this video we'll run over that, and yeah, there's a segment in here which displays the new foliage material. We've got new film back options in Twinmotion. So in the camera tab of the ambience panel, film back settings can now be enabled for precise camera matching of real world camera profiles in Twinmotion. So it's similar to Unreal. We've got revamped camera settings. So certain user interface changes have been made in the ambience panel to ensure a more consistent placement of settings between the environment and camera tabs. So we will also run over that. All these notes we'll run over in this video. We've got a new sequence media type. So a new type of media called a sequence has been added to the media dock. So this is basically allows you to run different sequences of animations in your video. And below you can see the limitations there. So new camera type for sequences. So we've got an action cam now. So with this action camera, you can add camera position keyframes over time, incorporate camera movement pauses by creating additional keyframes at the start of at the same camera position. We have a media preview window import change for all media. So the camera now exists as an object in the scene when switching to media preview mode, which is quite cool. I'll show you that in the next video. We've got deterministic animation. So with this feature, you can create and play identical animation sequences in exported media. For example, if two distinct videos both contain an animation and both animations were created using the same parameters, the animation sequence in both videos will be identical. This applies to the following Twinmotion assets. You can read those below. Parenting animators, so it's now possible to combine animators, rotators and translators to create more sophisticated animations. So that's quite cool. And then we also have Twinmotion to Unreal Engine improvements. So that one, I'm going to create a whole separate video for that, and I'll show you guys how to import your Twinmotion file into Unreal Engine by exporting a Datasmith file from Twinmotion, which you can use to open in Unreal. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, we'll create a whole new video for that one. And then below we have all the bugs fixed in 2024.1 preview. So I'll let you guys run through that and have a look. So moving on to the spacing and area tools. Just going to go to the settings cog here, run down and hide navigation panel just to get that out of the way. Then we're going to run up to edit, go to preferences, just run over our settings here just to make sure that we've got everything intact and ready to go, as this is a new Twinmotion 2024.1 that I've opened, so you have to run through the settings and reset the settings for each new Twinmotion version. So now we are going to go up to vegetation, landscapes and place a flat landscape. So we've got our flat landscape. It's going to delete our starting base. And then I'm just going to apply a grass material to the hills in the background. It's probably not needed, but I'm just going to anyway. So before we go and select spacing, I'm just going to go to objects and select a primitive. I'm just going to select the 10 meter plane, place that. I'm going to scale it down. Just going to extrude it out a bit. That's going to be my road. So I'm just using this as a demonstration on how I'm going to be using the spacing. So yeah, I applied a dirt material to this road, but it doesn't look great, so I'm just going to go up and apply an asphalt to the road instead. So now we're going to get started on our area and spacing tools. So I've selected spacing. I'm going to go to objects, city and streetlights, and now I'm going to select a streetlight. So I'll select byte, I'll drag it to the right hand side in the box there. Below that I have my little pen highlighted. I'm going to place my first point at the start of the road, and then I'm going to go and place my second point at the end of the road. Once I have my 2 points, I can go ahead and press escape, which will place my line. So on the right hand side we have the spacing settings here. So path tension, we'll start with that. It doesn't show much because the line it's a straight line. We have count, so adjusting that will adjust the amount of assets that you have on that line. Below we have the scale settings, so we have scale offset. Adjusting that slider will adjust the scale of the street lamps. Below that we have random scale. Adjusting that will add randomized scaling to that line. Below we have rotation offset, so adjusting that slider will adjust the rotation of the street lamps. Below we have random rotation, adjusting that will randomize the rotation of the street lamps. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate my spacing line that I have. The reason in doing this is I'm going to create a road, so I'm going to show you how utilizing the spacing and area tools I can create a nice country looking road, with not much to it. Now I'm just going to scale my road just so it extends out to my spacing line. that's good. Now I'm going to create another spacing line, and for this one I'm going to be using vegetation. So I'm going to select Austrian pine and drag it over to my spacing box over to the right hand side. I'm going to place my first point and my last point and then press escape. So here are my trees. I can adjust the scale of those trees. I can randomize the scaling of those. Also randomize the rotation to give it some randomness. Increasing the count will increase the density of the trees. Again, path tension won't work as it's a straight line. Adjusting random lateral offset will increase the width of the line, so it'll apply trees to the full width of that line. As you can see, there's like a little box that runs around the outside. So I'm going to select my spacing line and just duplicate that to the other side. So you can see now it's created a road in a few clicks, so it doesn't take much to get something out of it. I'm just going to go ahead and create an image. So now that that's done, we can go ahead and add some more randomization to our spacing lines here. So we can go and drag some different trees into that box. So we've got the Austrian pine in there at the moment. Let's add a banyan and a Nico fir. So you can see now it's added some different trees to that line, which is pretty cool. You can add anything to that line, so bushes, trees, grass, flowers, Megascan assets, you name it. So we're just going ahead and going through the settings, just playing around with the settings to get something that we like. Increase the height and scale of those trees, or reduce it. You can do whatever you like, really. I'm just going to copy that same line. I deleted the last one. I'm just going to copy that one. Now it's looking pretty cool. So you can imagine once we have grass, rocks, other bushes and trees and stuff like that, it'll really increase and enhance the visual fidelity of your scene. But already it's looking great. So now we're just going to go ahead and select our two spacings and delete those, the vegetation ones. I'm going to show you another way using the populate tool and using the area tool now. So it's a similar way. You place a point, your first point, your second point, your third point, fourth point, and then your last remaining point. So you're basically creating a box. It's the same method here. We're just going to drag the trees into the box on the right hand side. You can see it's already filled up our scene where the area box has been placed. So you can do the same thing here, drag whatever trees you want, and it can be bushes, grass, rocks, whatever you want. So as you can see there, I've placed 3 different types of trees in there. And you can go through the settings. There's some different settings, like the probability here. In the spacing tool it's called count, but in this one it's called probability, so that will increase the density of the trees. Again, we are just briefly running over these settings, so you can actually go through and play around with these yourself and get to know and utilize them. So now we're going to go ahead and place another box. This time we are going to drag some cars in here. So you could use this for, say, a car park, an airport, or something like that, just to fill in some spaces or something, or just to fill in a scene. add some realism to your scene. You can adjust the randomization of the spacing. Increase the density or probability of the vehicles. You can also select on the vehicles and then select asset properties, and within these asset properties you have settings for each asset. That's if they're a Twinmotion asset and they have asset properties related to them. So we're just going to go ahead and place some characters in here now. I'm just showing you that we cannot use animated characters, so animated characters will not work. So we have to go back and select a posed human. Just add any posed human in there. So the reason I'm doing this is just to show you that you can add different types of assets. Like you can see I'm adding 5-6 different types of assets into this now. So you can increase the probability, the random spacing, the path tension. As you can see, adjusting path tension will create sharp edges, and not reducing it will create curved edges. So the higher the path tension, the sharper the edges will be. Now I can go ahead and show you that you can adjust the points on the area box. So if you actually click a plus, it'll add a new node. So adjusting the path tension will create curved lines. So you can actually get quite detailed in your area box. That's not even an area box, it's just in your area. Because you can see here, I can fully customize the shape of the area and where I can place vegetation or objects. So it just fills that whole section, which is pretty cool, because then you can create gardens and stuff like that, which is pretty awesome. Another thing I want to show you is that you can use the spacing tool to create a hedge. So I'm just going to create a line and apply a hedge to that line. So I'm just going to use the Laurel hedge. So I've placed the hedge in the box on the right hand side. I'm going to increase the count. You can change it from by count to by distance, and then increase the distance between the hedges. And then I'm just going to look for rotate. So I need to rotate this hedge. So I'll adjust the rotation offset and change it to 90. And there you can see that we have a hedge that will follow our spline or our spacing tool. So now you can manipulate this. Obviously there are limitations to this tool. So if you drag it out too far, you can see that it gets a little bit jagged at sometimes. But you can just play around by changing the vegetation or the hedges, or just trying different things out. You can also go to the search bar, and I'm just going to type fence. I'm just going to find something from either the Megascans or Sketchfab library. So I'm looking for like a railing of some type for a highway or something. So something like this, the modular metal guardrail. Just going to download this. Once I have this downloaded, I'm going to drag it into my asset box. Once I've dragged it into my asset box, it'll show up on my line. So again, I'm just going to adjust the distance between the rails, and I'll also adjust the rotation of these rails as well. So again, if the corners are too sharp, then it won't work with the railing. So yeah, you just have to play around to get it to work. Just make sure that the corners aren't too sharp. That's all really. But it really works on the straight lines here. As you can see, it's created a decent looking highway rail, which I could use for a scene. It saves me having to copy and duplicate so many objects. Now we're moving on to render layers. So this is a new feature in Twinmotion. I've created an image here. In this image, I'm just going to select the road, the plane. On the right hand side I have layer ID. I'm going to enable that, and then this one is set to 1. I'm going to select the flat ground. Again, on the right hand side, enable layer ID. I'm going to change that to 2. Again, for the vegetation, layer ID, enable 3. And also, I think I might do the hill in the background. So I'm going to enable that and hit 4. I'm just going to update my image, go down to the bottom, click export. If I scroll up, I'll head over and hit the plus button. I'm going to select my image first. Under details, I have render layers, so I'm just going to make sure that all of those are selected. Make sure those are on. And that will export that as masks. Enable all of those, export as masks. Export. Once I have these exported, I'm going to go down to my file location. And here I have the exported image, which is this, and then image for layers. So in image for layers I have the road, which was layer 1, the ground, which was layer 2, the trees, which was layer 3, the hill, layer 4, and then the sky, which was its own export option. So it's as simple as that to export render layers in Twinmotion now. Next we are moving on to simplified material creation. So I've just downloaded this building from the Sketchfab library. I'm going to go down and hit materials tab here. So I've just created all these new standard materials. I'm going to go ahead and create a lot more. So I'm just going to show you an easy way to clean up the materials that aren't being used in your scene. At the top we have this little paintbrush, clean up. If you just click that, it will remove all the materials that aren't being used in your Twinmotion scene, which is an easy way to cull everything that isn't being used. So now I'm just going to go ahead and create some spheres. Just going to create some copies of those. So first of all, I'm going to create a standard material. Change the selection to apply to object. I'm just going to change this material and apply it to the first sphere. Just going to change the roughness, give it some shine. So if you click this little tab at the bottom under the standards, I'm just going to rename this standard. So on the left, under the standard with the plus, there's a little tab. If you just click that, it'll bring up the other materials that you can use to create. So we have subsurface, foliage, video, car paint, water. I'm going to start off with glass. I'm just going to drag the glass to the next sphere. So as you can see, when you create a glass material, it also enables all the glass parameters. It's the same with the fabric. So on the right hand side here we have all the glass parameters, opacity, imperfections. Now if I click on fabric, it has all the fabric parameters set. You can also change from standard to thin. Thin being used for curtains and stuff like that. And you can go through here, change all the color. You can also change all the core fall-offs, intensity, edge fall-off and edge intensity. So you can get some kind of cool looking fabric. Moving on to the next material, we're going to select emissive. So I'm just going to apply the emissive material to the sphere and increase the glow, just so you can see the reaction of the emissive material. You can also adjust the color temperature. You can also adjust the color of the emissive material as well. Changing it to lumen, you can definitely see the change in emissive material. So now we're going to create a water material. I'm just going to apply the water material to the next sphere. So once again, you can also change the water parameters. So we have depth, waves, watercolor. You can change the caustics intensity and size. So the next material we're moving on to is car paint. So this is a new material. So once again, this material has all the car paint parameters. You can see the speckles of glitter. So you can enable chameleon, and you can change the colors of the chameleon, which looks quite cool. You can get some pretty awesome car paint colors. Fully customizable. Look at that. Insane. Next we have pearlescent. Enable that. And just adjust the slider and you get a nice pearlescent color. Once again, you can change the tint of that. Under roughness we have clear coat. So if we bring that slider down, it applies a matte finish. At 100% we've got a clear coat. Under that we have intensity, so adjusting that is pretty straightforward, as you can see. And then we have binder opacity, which is just the opacity of the binder of the clear coat. Under that we have flakes, so you can actually enable and disable the flakes in the car paint. You can also go ahead and change the color for those flakes. You can adjust the tint weight and density. Below that we have orange peel. Enabling orange peel gives it a rough texture. Increasing the intensity, you can see there, it gives it like an orange peel finish. So there's a lot of settings in the car paint which you can utilize to create multiple materials. Next one we're going on is subsurface. So I'm just going to apply the subsurface to the sphere here. So with the subsurface material you can have light bouncing through the object. So adjusting the translucency will adjust how much light is allowed through the object, or the material as you per se. Below that we have roughness. So this is the same as the standard material, the only difference is that there's translucency. So you can use it for like a candle or fruit or plants, stuff like that. Grapes. Jade, you know. A lot of different uses for that material. It can be used for lampshades as well. Next material is the video material. So if I apply this video material to the sphere here, or even better, I'll place this plane. I'm not going to apply the correct scale, but I'm just going to put the video texture material onto this plane so you can have an idea of what it looks like. So you can actually change the rotation of the video and scale. I'm just going to apply the video material to my sphere. Now it's going to move on to the next material, which is Substance. Adobe Substance. So you can import your own Substance material that you can download online, or you can use the new Adobe Substance 3D library, which is in Twinmotion 2024.1. So I've just applied a Adobe Substance material to the sphere. There's a lot of settings on the right hand side. I won't go into a lot of detail in this video, but if you like you can play around with the materials yourself. So moving on to ambient occlusion texture input. I've just created a standard material here, just giving that a color. On the right hand side we can scroll down and there's a new tab called ambient occlusion. If you just open that, you have the slider here for intensity and a texture tab here, which you can open up a texture for the ambient occlusion. I don't have a material at the moment that can utilize ambient occlusion, but yeah, you get the idea. So moving on to this next part is bloom improvements. Over on the right hand side, on the camera tab, if you scroll down, we have a new tab called Bloom and Flares. If you just open that up, you've got bloom intensity, bloom texture, lens flare and lens dirt. So I'm just going to reduce my lens flare. That's the lens dirt. Increasing my bloom intensity will increase the amount of bloom that my emissive materials will cast. Changing the texture, you can see, will change the texture of the bloom. Just the bokeh that's coming off of that, which is pretty cool. Looks good. So I'm just going to go through quickly and create a few different lights so you can see me utilizing the bloom improvements. So I thought it would be quite funny here to try and use the gravity feature in Twinmotion, just by duplicating all these spheres and then clicking the drop to floor function. It's quite funny. Just thought I'll add that in there. So next we're moving on to the improved fabric material. This is a big one for interiors, which is going to enhance the interior visual fidelity of your scene. If we click on materials, scroll down to fabric, we've got all these new fabrics in here. I'm just going to apply a cotton plain thin to my curtains. You can see there that it's got some translucency in this fabric, so it allows the light to shine through the material, giving off the effect of curtains. I'm just going to set up a quick interior scene. So now that I have my interior scene, we're going to go ahead and apply some fabric materials. I'm just going to go to my fabrics and look for a silk. I'll apply this new silk material, which looks pretty good. I'm just going to apply that to the couch. Obviously I need to adjust the lighting for lumen, but I'm using path tracing, so there you go, that looks quite good. Obviously the color isn't right for the scene, so we're going to go ahead and change that. We might even change the fabric completely. Probably apply a cotton. I'm just going to scroll down and adjust the color. So now that I have my fabric material for my sofa, I'm just going to change the flooring. So I've applied the carpet wool variation 02, or the carpet wool tile 01. There are a few new fabric materials that are in here which are really good to use. You can change the colours and adjust the settings to suit your scene. But yeah, that's basically it for the improved fabric material. Moving on now to the new foliage material. So I've downloaded these Realistic Trees pack from the Sketchfab library, and the author is there. So you can see these leaves on this tree don't look so good coming from the Sketchfab library. So Twinmotion has released a new foliage material. So I've just gone and selected the new foliage material. I'm just going to go ahead and apply that to my leaves. You can see there it's a big change from what was there. The existing leaves didn't look so great, but these look really good. So you can actually go through here and change the seasons, the season color, the leaves life cycle. You can change it from summer to autumn to winter. So all the seasons affect the foliage material. I had a lot of fun playing with this material. Twinmotion done an awesome job. Big ups to the Twinmotion team. So here I'm just going through and changing the season colors. So you can go through and change the season mask as well. Once you use this tool a bit, you get to understand how the leaf life cycle and season colors work. But yeah, that's basically it for the new foliage material. Next we're moving on to the new film back options. So Twinmotion has added the ability to replicate real life cameras within Twinmotion. So we're just going to go over to the camera tab. Well, first we're actually going to select media and we're going to create an image. So this sphere in the center on our starting base is going to be our focal point. I'm going to go up to the camera tab, scroll down to film back and enable that. Below we have a bunch of preset camera options. So here we can just go through these. Again, you can just play around with these camera settings and get familiar with those. But I'm going to run through each one. The last option we have is custom. So you can go through here and adjust the stencil width and height. So that's it for the film back options. Now moving on to the revamped camera settings. So for the revamped camera settings, all it is that the white balance has been moved from the environment tab to the camera tab, which makes sense. So if we go to the camera tab, at the top we have exposure and white balance. So white balance is here now. You'll also find lens and all the other camera options within this tab. So that's basically it for the revamped camera settings. Moving on now to the new sequencer and action camera. So here you can see I've imported some animations, just some quick ones that I've made. But you can use this sequencer now to set up your video and camera shots. So before it used to be on the video tab, but now you've got a new sequencer tab next on the right hand side of the video tab. So if I select the sequencer, select my sequence. So I've got my cameras set up here. I've got my action camera 01 and 02. In each of these camera sequences I have an animation as well. So you can set it up in chronological order to play the cameras mixed with the animations. So now I'm just going to drag my keyframe slider to the end of my video, and then I'm going to click the plus and add a new camera. So clicking that plus will add a new action camera in where the keyframe is set. On the right hand side here we have this new action cam tab, which you can see the details here. We also have this new smooth speed option, which allows the camera to keep a consistent speed. So clicking that smooth speed will keep a consistent animation speed with the camera. Watch here now how I'll create multiple keyframes and create a tracking camera shot. So now that we have our camera shot set up, you can see here that we have a pretty smooth and cool tracking camera. It's just a basic one, but you can see the method I've used to create multiple shots and cameras. Next we're moving on to the media window preview update. So in this video I'm just going to show you how to move the camera as an object. So we're just going to click this little box here, which is the media preview. So now you can open up the media preview panel and you can actually see the physical camera as an object. Mind my field of view at the moment. Just noting you have to be in the sequencer to bring up your camera in the media preview panel. So here we have our action camera, which I can move around.
Once I have my camera selected and I have gone to video, I can see my video down the bottom here, so I can update that. Then I can move my camera, rotate my camera. So I've created my first keyframe. I'm going to move my camera and create another frame. So you can actually move the camera and create keyframes in the media preview panel. So you can create paths and stuff like that, which is pretty awesome. Which you can see below here in the media preview panel. This is just a basic representation of what can be achieved in Twinmotion. Moving on to deterministic animation. So starting with these animated characters that I've brought in from the characters animated humans tab. I just brought in Amir. On the right hand side we have cloth color, pose, animation and random seed. So what we're looking at today is this random seed. So I'll be adjusting the random seed on these 3 humans, which will allow them to have different or identical animations, only when the video is exported. So with this feature you can create and play identical animation sequences in exported media. For example, if 2 distinct videos both contain an animation and both animations were created using the same parameters, the animation sequence in both videos will be identical, but it only applies to the following Twinmotion assets, and that's the animated humans and the Twinmotion paths, which is the character, vehicle, BISO and custom. Each of these asset types now includes a random seed value to alter or regenerate the same sequence. The animated humans category particularly benefits from this randomness value, as it is applied to character animations upon creation and duplication. So consequently 2 identical characters will not play the same animation synchronously by default, resulting in a more natural appearance in the scene. That's basically it for the deterministic animation. There's not much to it other than the random seed, using that to generate identical animations. So yeah, we're going to move on to the next section and the last section of this video, which will be parenting animators. So I have this VTOL helicopter plane thing that I've downloaded from the 3D warehouse. I've already gone ahead and set up the parented animator. For this one I used 2 rotators, and this is the model and the author from the 3D warehouse if you would like to download the same model. So I have my first rotator here, and within that I have my second rotator. So my first rotator will be the rotation of the actual propeller, not the propeller but that thing. And then my second rotator is rotating the propeller. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Just dragging the rotator on top of the other rotator to parent them. And yeah, thanks for watching. This is another great video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Remember to like and subscribe and keep an eye out for my next videos. Thank you.